What's going on, everyone? It's Nina Infinity. Welcome to my channel today. Thank you for being here. Please smash the like, share the video, and subscribe if you're new here. And today we're going to be talking about a cringe topic. And I was actually really surprised that the New York Post decided to cover. We're going to be talking about New York Teachers Union and they finally getting what they deserve, like their funding getting cut off, which is a good thing in my book. But here's the article. Let me begin by sharing that with you. This was the article here, written by Carol Markowitz. So shout out to her because this was a good coverage of this topic. Those destroying the public schools don't want you to think about alternatives. So the article starts, what comes after the end of public schools? Anyone who cares about the education of children should be asking that question. So of course, it's one that the teachers union don't want us to discuss. It's interesting, isn't it? New York City schools are in trouble. As the Post reported Friday, the City Department of Education expects to enroll roughly 28,100 fewer students this fall. Enrollment at the city's regular public schools already fell during the pandemic, and this new projection suggests it's not improving anytime soon. That's not a surprise, is it? And New York leads a large pack. California, Illinois, Oregon, Mississippi, and Michigan have all seen serious losses of students departing their public school system. I wonder what color those states lead. All these states here, I wonder what color they are. Why? A Gallup poll last week showed only 28% of Americans have a great deal or a lot of confidence in U.S. public schools. Much of this is tied to long closures during the pandemic. Teachers unions with people like American Federation of Teachers chief Randi Weingarten leading the charge pushed hard to keep schools closed for far too long. The shutdowns and the travesty of remote learning smashed public trust, and it simply isn't that easy to rebuild. Researchers at the American Enterprise Institute found that the longer a school district stayed remote, the longer its enrollments dropped. Big surprise there. But parents tell me that they have many reasons for saying enough. New York City's crushing of merit-based admissions under Mayor de Blasio pushed people out, as did general woke nonsense replacing academics. That's a big one right there. Other parents pulled their kids when toddlers stayed masked after the rest of the city had stopped. Mayor Eric Adams isn't mincing words. We have a massive hemorrhaging of students, massive hemorrhaging. We're at a very dangerous place and a number of students that we are dropping. But the city council, clearly lobbied by the teachers union, is pushing for schools to retain funding at the old enrollment numbers. That's crazy. Those schools aren't meeting families' needs. They shouldn't be rewarded for this failure with cash. And you know what? He's absolutely right. They shouldn't be. But you know what? In what world do people continuously fail upwards? In this clown world where people like Kamala Harris continuously failing upwards and never seeing any sort of consequences for anything ever. This is what is going on in our world. And it's not surprising that people like this teachers union person, Randi Weingarten, wants more money, wants your money, okay? She doesn't want to stop getting paid because you know why? Especially because money is so often set on fire in New York City systems. Schools Chancellor David Banks and over 50 other staffers attended a conference last week at a swanky hotel near Universal Studios in where is that again? Orlando. The Post reports kids had to Zoom to get an education for over a year, but the grown-ups need to meet up near theme parks to discuss their education plan. Ridiculous. It is ridiculous. You know what's ridiculous about it? The fact that New York State, the blue state, is going to absolute shit. It's famous for all the ish going on over there. It's people literally taking shits on the streets, shits on the subway, whatever. Like it's just a mess over there in New York. But you know what? You know where they're going? To Orlando. To where they hate the governor, DeSantis, where, you know, he made the state free. There's no mask mandates over there. The people going to school. There's no lockdowns. You know, people aren't taking shits everywhere. You know, and these people are going over there from New York, the place that they created, to here to discuss your children's futures, and a swanky hotel restaurant. But you know what? Like, who's paying for this? That's the other thing. Who's paying? Are they putting this on a school credit card? Are they going to use it as a tax write-off? They're gaming the system, and that's just all bad. It's just all bad. But the article goes on. Public schools are in a serious downward spiral. The options are fixing them, which hasn't worked for decades, or letting parents get their kids out. Public charter schools are understandably booming despite getting far less funding. Former Mayor Michael Bloomberg recently pointed out charter schools educate 7% of all public school students, yet they receive less than 1% of total federal spending on K-12 education, which is ridiculous. People need more options, and charter schools, they are options, and they're great options. On average, charters have higher math and reading scores than traditional public schools. Bloomberg notes research has found the benefits are especially pronounced for Black, Latino, and low-income students. But the teachers' unions hate charters. I wonder why. They hate when parents have choices for their kids. Again, I wonder why. Could it be because these people are totalitarian, tyrannical people who just don't want to give you any choices because they just want you to follow their way or the highway? It's our way or you're the enemy, that kind of nonsense. They also hate outspoken parents fighting for their kids. Weingarten called parents showing up to the school board meetings racist. Oh my God, they're all racist because they care for their kids. They're all racist, those people. Like, God forbid that father that went into the freaking school board meeting and yelled at the teachers because, his daughter got raped over there by another person that, people that we can't even talk about. We can't even talk about that kind of stuff. Or the fact that this kind of stuff happens all the freaking time. That libs of TikTok posts all the time. People like this teaching your kids.
Okay, so it took a couple of days for me to make this TikTok without crying, because that's what I do. Please ignore the dog bone crunching behind me. Anyhow, one of my students felt safe enough to share his pronouns with me. And when he did so, once the class knew that I knew, they all switched pronouns. They're second graders.
They're freaking second
I'm torn
graders.
between being really, really happy to be a safe space.
So of course
and
they did. They copied their freaking peers.
Entire group of second graders has to keep this secret from not safe people.
Not safe people.
Why are kids feeling unsafe?
Their parents?
And furthermore, why does everyone talk about how are the kids going to understand? Kids fucking understand it. It's easy for them. It's the adults who have all of the frigging issues.
I have issues. I have issues with all this.
And bullshit. Kids are fine.
Yeah, you're indoctrinating kids. It's called indoctrination. But you know what? Back to the article, because, this is the kind of stuff, though. This is what parents are sick of. But you know what? If you go to your school board meeting and you complain about something like this, they're going to call you a racist. They're going to be like, you're racist person. You're a racist person. Public education shouldn't exist to serve Weingarten. It's our money paying for our children to get an education. Yes, it freaking is. So speak up. You have a voice. Use it. School choice activist Corey DeAngelis always asks, why would giving families a choice and public schools? That's an exact right question. If parents are finding that the public school system doesn't serve their children, we need to give them an option to exit. If they all take that exit, that means that their children have been failed by our current public education model, and that's a travesty we can't ignore. It cannot be ignored. And you know what? Everyone knows that the public education system has been failing for years, but interestingly, COVID kind of brought all of that into light. Isn't that so weird that the way things happen like this? Politicians shouldn't preserve this failing model because Randi Weingarten wants them to. They should remember the last time they listened to her, public schools across the country lost over 1 million students. After the last dismal years, our focus can't be on keeping special interest groups like Weingarten's happy. The mantra for us all has to be children first. And I really, really wish that was the case. I really wish that, people cared about kids more than ideology, or more than indoctrinating them, or more than, all these other all these weirdos just continuously pushing their ideologies on these kids. It's important to know about all of this. And one of the things that made me think about John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert F. Kennedy continuously talked about meritocracy and how they wanted the United States to be a meritocracy. And it makes me wonder if they had succeeded, because we know what happened to those guys, but if they had succeeded in making the United States a meritocracy, perhaps we wouldn't be having this conversation. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, and please smash the like, share the video, and subscribe if you're new here. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye!